When you think of New York City, you think of wealth, you think of extravagance, a skyline filled with tall buildings, annoying tourists, and rude New Yorkers being annoyed by tourists. Some of you associate it with its landmarks or how expensive it is to live there. But one thing is for sure, everything is at grand scale and mainly expensive. From expensive parks and bridges to programs and services. So how does the Big Apple spend its $101 billion budget, equivalent to 10 James Space Webb telescopes and a Mona Lisa on itself? And is it enough to satisfy a New Yorker's ever-increasing needs? To understand how the New York City spends its budget, first we need to understand how its budget is structured. The official adopted budget / octopus is made up of different tentacles. And in this case, the octopus has only 3 tentacles: the expense budget, the capital budget, and the revenue budget. For the purposes of this video, we're only focusing on the expense and capital budget. The capital budget mostly funds construction, reconstruction, and renovation of the precarious city infrastructure within the 5 boroughs. The expense budget is essentially what funds the government services like police department, social services, healthcare, education, salaries, employee benefits, you get it. With that on the back of our minds, I present to you the infamous budget. We cannot say that New York City is shy about spending money on education, with $31 billion going towards education, including teacher salaries. Other big expenses include salaries and wages of city employees, with a staggering $31.6 billion of our green friends. $22 billion go for pensions and fringe benefits such as health insurance, retirement plans, survivor benefits, unemployment insurance, and so on and so on. Insert the rest of the big spenders on screen. And now some cool programs. So they're about 3 years late to the party, but they're planting 20,000 trees for Team Trees, among other related projects, with $488 million. This summer, they're employing 100,000 young folks with $79.4 million. $35.8 million is going towards doula certification, midwifery initiative, and maternity hospital quality improvement network. Wow, these names. I also want to mention that New Yorkers' tap water is so good for a reason. They don't play cheapskate games with that. You would believe me right now if I said that there are hundreds of programs being funded by the city. But would you believe me if I said that they spend resources on thousands more? Well, this is just 3.5 the normal speed. But these are very small programs, which the city just gives money to organizations for a specific purpose. There are 2 of these documents, by the way. With that many programs, is it really $101 billion in expenses? Let's check out this little detail. So that is actually $109 billion. That's because the city that never sleeps expects to save $1.9 billion from city efficiency, and then we subtract the capital budget, that is $6.1 billion, and that's how we get $101 billion. The difference is where the money comes from. The expense budget is funded by city revenue, state and federal aid, while the capital budget resources come from the sale of bonds, which is debt. Ultimately, a New Yorker's quality of life tells the honest truth about how things are going within New York City. A survey found that 9% of voters found quality of life as excellent, 32% as good, 36% said conditions are fair, and 23% says there are poor conditions, with the most pressing issues being the cost of living, lack of affordable housing, and crime on the rise. Overall, the majority of New Yorkers feel positive about New York City at the present. The minority not so much, but all of them equally are concerned about the direction of the city going forward. It is worth mentioning that this year the NYPD budget has increased, as well as the affordable housing budget. As for cost of living, well, the world is also trying to figure that out.